Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cavanaugh's Corner. I'm Andrew Cavanaugh. I just want to say thank you for coming back to us here on the channel. Today's going to be an interesting day. Today I get to talk to you about, I should say, about the fourth season of Moonlighting. Now, if you hadn't seen any of my videos prior to this, I'm currently doing a series where I'm looking at every season of Moonlighting. I've already looked at the first, second, and third season, so if you haven't seen that, check out the videos. They're probably over there somewhere, or over there, I don't know, they're going to be around here somewhere, but pretty much every so often I like to go back and review a classic TV show. So far I've done Miami Vice, I've done MacGyver, and now I'm doing Moonlighting. I don't know why I'm doing all the M's, but for whatever reason they seem to be the ones that I'm doing. Today, I actually have the DVD right here. Hang on a second. This is the review of the fourth season of Moonlighting. Now, the third season, I said in the prior video, is my favorite episode of my favorite season of the show. Has a lot of very memorable episodes, extremely funny stuff all throughout the season. I love that season of television. Now, season 4 is a different story. Okay? I have to warn everyone now, okay, that I cannot talk about Season 4 of Moonlighting without ruining the end of Season 3. So this whole thing is going to be spoilers. I honestly cannot talk about this season without talking about what happens in the prior season. So if you don't want to know what happens, and if you don't want the surprise ruined, please turn off the video now. I'll understand. If you don't care, stick around, we're going to have some fun, okay? So I've given you the warning, like I said, spoilers big time, okay? Pretty much at the end of Season 3, okay, David and Maddie, they banged, okay? So they got together, finally after 3 years of push and pull and will they or won't they, and after Sam kind of revealed, Sam showed up, I should say, and started going out with Maddie. Maddie started showing interest in this man, played by Mark Harmon. They soon realized that they were in love. And in a very iconic moment of television, probably one of my favorite moments in all of TV, Sam and Maddie kind of, go their separate ways, and David and Maddie finally get together, and it's to the wonderful song Be My Baby, and it's a cinematic moment. It really is. It almost surpasses television at that point and goes into like a cinematic kind of moment. It is fantastic television, and I think it was one of those few times where I stood up and started to clap because it finally happened. Like, thank God they finally got together. What the hell took so long, right? There's a problem, though. The last episode of Season 3 is them dealing with the fact that they got together, and you can almost immediately tell that something is not right, but they kind of still get along and they still do their mystery thing, and it's great. It's kind of like back to normal for them, okay? Season 4 is where the show goes completely down the shitter, and I'll explain to you why, okay? Season 4 is hands down the worst season of the show, and I think it's because they began to take itself seriously. Let me explain what I mean. After David and Maddie got together in Season 3, I think it's almost very clear that the writers of the show, meaning Glenn Gordon Caron, and even though he says that, them getting together had no effect on the show, it really did. It obviously did. I'm sorry, the man is in denial. I love that man. He's made some fantastic TV shows over the years, but that's total bullshit. There's no way that these writers could keep it together after they got together. They jumped the shark at that moment and it was over. David and Maddie in this season, the first episode is them basically dealing with the fact that they got together still. And their chemistry is noticeably different. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, again, the writers did not know how to give them tension anymore, since the main attraction of the show was, are they going to get together or are they not going to get together? Now that we've answered that question, the characters have nowhere to go. So you're left with, how do we create tension between these two characters? And the way they did that was, they split them up. Now, I know you're thinking, why the hell would they do this to these two characters that have spent so much time together? And I can answer that for you. Again, the writers had no way to make these two characters have any sort of romantic tension. The only way you can have romantic tension between lovers is to take them apart. And so you get a very somewhat deadly serious season of television this year. And the first couple episodes are very much unlike anything else that this show had kind of done until this point. And you get this heartbreak of these two people who now obviously care for each other, splitting up. And then, of course, it's revealed, and again, I told you spoilers, so I'm going to ruin a lot of stuff this episode. It's revealed that Maddie is pregnant. So Sybil Shepherd at this time was actually pregnant. And so the show, about midway through the season, had to take a massive hiatus. And during that time period, Bruce Willis made Die Hard. Yep. So that's what happened there. I'm not going to talk about Die Hard because if you haven't seen Die Hard, you've been living under a rock for the last century. Greatest action movie possibly of all time. Bruce Willis rocketed to, again, superstar status at that point. And so this show started to kind of take the back burner to what Bruce was doing at that time. Like I said earlier, Maddie and David are separated through most of the season. So a lot of episodes are Bruce Willis out and about, solving mysteries, doing what he can. Again, still being kind of zany, but since Maddie isn't there anymore, there's no chemistry for him to have with anyone. So a lot of the humor goes by the wayside, which is really too bad. That's what was great about this show for the first 3 years. And again, Sybil is pretty much out of the picture through most of the season. And when you do see her, she's kind of lying around at home doing nothing and saying, oh, woe is me, I'm pregnant. I can't go and do these adventures because I'm pregnant. Understandable, but at the same time, this is kind of a downfall of many TV shows. There is a two-parter in this season called Cool Hand Dave, where David finds out that Maddie is pregnant, finally, after, I think, like 6 or 7 episodes of everyone else knowing that she's pregnant except for David. So he finds out she's pregnant and jumps on the first flight to get to her. I think she's in Chicago or something. And this is literally some of the most unwatchable television I've ever seen. The episodes go absolutely nowhere. For some strange reason, again, it is ridiculous, Bruce Willis ends up in jail, and he's working like a chain gang in jail, and there's a musical number for no apparent reason. Now, in the prior season, on the episode Big Man on Mulberry Street, the musical number is a dream sequence. So that kind of makes sense. But when the show is taking place in reality, and there's a musical number, and it's done in like the style like Gilbert and Sullivan. I actually say sorry to Gilbert and Sullivan during that dance, this musical sequence, which I think is kind of funny. The 2 episodes literally go into the stratosphere. Now this time it's not taken seriously, so the zaniness of the episodes are not funny, and you lose that comedic zaniness that was in the prior seasons. Again, really, really poor stuff. Again, too bad that they really didn't know what to do with the show at this point. In this season, the ironic thing about this 4th season is that one of my favorite episodes in the season does not contain Bruce Willis as Sybil Shepherd. It actually contains Alice Beasley again as Agnes. And I think that episode where I think her and her mother end up in Mexico or something is a really funny episode. I think it's also nice that Curtis Armstrong finally gets his kind of moment in the sun in this season, where he was very much sidelined before as kind of the guy that always gets the information for Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. But Curtis's character, this is, by the way, is the same gentleman that played Booger in Revenge of the Nerds. That's what probably most of you will remember him from. His character on the show in this season finally gets to shine, and I think it's really nice that him and Agnes kind of get to share their own little love story. It's really nice. It's a really nice moment, and I think it's kind of one of the only good things about this season, which is really too bad, because most of the season goes nowhere. I mean, literally, most of the season goes literally nowhere, with the exception of, I think, the last 2 or 3 episodes where it's revealed that Maddie is actually going to get married to this other random guy, and it's basically them trying to repeat the magic of the Mark Harmon thing in the 3rd season. Only this season, it goes literally nowhere, and that guy barely makes an appearance on screen. It's really, really poor, but the whole lead-in is her having the baby. That's the big lead-in to the 5th and final season of the show, that she's going to have this baby, and David is basically preparing to, you know, be the father of this baby. And again, it's not very entertaining, sadly. And I can kind of understand why Bruce Willis wanted out of this show at this point, because the writing had really taken a turn for the worse. The comedy is kind of bottom of the barrel, and really the show stopped becoming entertaining at this point. I think the writers really ran out of stuff to do in this season, and I think it shows. It really, really shows heavily. So sadly, this season, I can't give it anything higher than a 2 out of 5, with the exception of 1 or 2 episodes here or there. The show really becomes a chore to sit through at this point, and it's really too bad, because you can literally see the writing at its zenith 1 episode in that 3rd season, and then the 4th just totally just sink, and it's really, really too bad. I think the other thing I need to mention at this point is that this season also marked the change of the title song. Now, if you don't know, Al Jarreau did the title tune to the show, which is one of my favorite theme songs of all time. It is a fantastic, jazzy, just smooth, romantic theme song. I love it. At this point in time, it was actually released as a single, and it was a big hit. Now, in this season, for whatever reason, again, the creators of the show thought, hey, this is going to be a great idea. Let's just completely change the title sequence and, like, cut it in, like, a quarter so you barely hear the theme song. I hate that. Why they did that, I have no idea. And it really does, in a weird way, kind of show you how much of a mess the show was at this point. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for coming back to our channel. Again, next week I'll be talking about the 5th and final season of Moonlighting, and we get to say goodbye to David and Maddie. Is it a good season? Is it a bad season again? I'll talk to you more about that next week. Okay? Until then, good night.